It's our TENant episode.
Ooh.
Welcome to episode 10 of Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS. This is our 10th episode, so it's our TENant episode, as Nicole pointed out a second ago. There's not a whole lot of Doctor Who news.
We have a new executive producer.
I think he's a vice executive, though, or assistant executive or something. I don't think his name is Brian Minchin.
Yes.
Minchin, something like that. So, do you know anything about this guy, Joanna?
Only he's worked with Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures. He did Torchwood Miracle Day. He was, and then the Sarah Jane Adventures. So, but he was.
Well, I got something up here where it says he's been working on The Game, a new Cold War spy thriller from Toby Whithouse, who writes for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Wizards vs. Aliens, the Russell T. Davis and Phil Ford co-creation for CBBC. He has also worked as BBC executive producer on Dirk Gently, based on the novels by Douglas Adams, and Being Human, which was Toby Whithouse also. Yeah, so new co-executive producer. Looks like he's got some good prerequisites. Apparently, my application was denied. I see how it is, BBC. All I wanted you to do was pay to relocate me and my family to a nice near suburb of London. I think, Nicole, you had mentioned that...
Yeah, Doctor Who magazine
supposedly
announced that TENant is, in fact, the only returning Doctor.
I am looking forward to the 7th anniversary episode that's going to be airing near the end of this year. I don't care what anybody else says. Like I said in the blog post, and like I said on... it's not that Jack's not in it that pissed me off. It was just another example of we're not celebrating 50 years. I mean, no... again, all hearsay and rumors, but no Daleks, no Cybermen, no Master, no Davros, almost nothing other than the Zygons from... And they might not be the primary bad guy. It could be one of the other ones, you know. Like I said, it's all hearsay and rumor. Do I think they could do a good episode without any of that? Sure. I think after seeing the last 3, that they could write an episode that's going to be completely awesome. It's just... I don't know.
I'm just going to play it by ear at this point, because I'm just going to go with the flow.
Well, because you don't know what's real and what's not. You don't know... I mean, Paul McGann said it could be something last minute. So it's like... why say that? You know? And I agree with you on that, Joanna. It's because it's like... It's going to probably be... It's going to be good, I'm sure. One way or the other. I honestly... You know how they used Eccleston's voice in this week's episode that we're going to talk about in a minute? That's the kind of thing I was saying they could have done, is just had their voices back, like, somehow, you know. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I still think Paul McGann... I still think at least Paul McGann should be in it. I would be happy if no one other than him from the past, because that would be your, like, link to when the show was, you know... But, you know, we'll see what happens. Like I said, I mean, he could write a totally kick-ass episode that's awesome and that doesn't feel rushed and that doesn't have a ton of plot holes that you could drive a truck through. And then I woke up I woke up in reality.
That reminds me, speaking of plot holes that you could drive a truck through, that was the other thing I saw online, that they said Stephen Moffat explained why the Statue of Liberty was able to move.
I know why it was able to move. I want to know why it was able to move when people were looking at it.
Because this was his explanation. I went, this is so, like, after the fact.
It's going to make me spit my beer out all over my mixer.
I want to hear this.
He said that was because the angels had such control over New York City at that point that people were just like their puppets.
Hogwash.
So nobody noticed because they didn't want them to notice.
Hogwash. Because all the other angels would stop moving when they were looked at. So if that was true, the entire city would have been they would have had the Empire State Building full of people being used as batteries instead. And I'm going to use my favorite word, shenanigans. If I was Moffat, I would have said, I don't need to explain it.
It was like, but I
that
saw
would
that.
That would almost be a better explanation. Just, you know what? I don't need to explain it.
I saw that somewhere, and I'm like, okay, what is the... And I'm like, Not
because
really,
because wouldn't it mean that all the other ones...
riveting news that he went, oh, the angels had such control, because he was like, they can control, kind of perception filters and all this stuff. So nobody noticed.
If he just said it was because of a perception filter, I could have been, oh, okay, fine. But if they controlled the city so good, then, again, like I said, those angels would have been moving around constantly, but whenever anybody looked at them, they stopped. Remember, the detective. He wasn't a Time Lord or anything, but when he looked at one of them, it stopped. So that's not going to work.
And it blinked, they stopped.
Yeah, in all of them. So if they're that powerful, well,
it's just because they had that much power at that time.
You know what he could have said? Twice. It happened twice in the episode. You know what he could have just said was because the Statue of Liberty was so much larger, it had that power. That I could have bought. I could have at least been like, hey, I want to know how the most powerful spaceship in the universe that exploded and turned into a sun for a few millennia supporting our planet couldn't land because the time stream was too convoluted and needed a landing light. Explain that one. Yeah, I dare you. Moffat, right in.
He did talk about why they couldn't go back, or why Amy and Rory couldn't, fly back to England and get picked up, just because that time would everything would rip apart with one more alteration.
Really?
There could be no more alterations.
Why couldn't they do it in 1950 then? Here's the main problem with that whole thing. That means that all the Daleks have to do is go back to that time period. And the Doctor can't do anything to stop them then. Until we find out the sonic screwdriver can do something, because I'm sorry, they're using that way too much. It is being used way too much. Once in a while is fine, but... okay, let's just get into the episode. Because... I have a little bit of news, actually, too. A guy at work today showed me a paper, and I think it was the Red Eye. And it has an article about Doctor Who. Maybe it was Red Eye? Maybe it wasn't Red Eye. It was one of those, local, smaller papers. And it talked about how... when they go back and forward in time, why does no one catch a disease or spread it to the past or present?
They did that, though.
And I said, wait, I said, it's happened. I remember there being episodes where the companions have gotten sick, the Doctor's gotten sick. I remember it happening before.
Dodo almost kills off all remaining human life in the Ark.
So it does happen. But my argument was, well, it's easy enough to explain and say that the TARDIS just filters it out. Mm-hmm. But then they're like, HIV. I'm like, well, since no one has sex on the show, I guess that's not one to worry about, is it really?
Well, Jack.
Yeah, no, that TARDIS filters it out. But it's not like the Doctor just, gets out of the TARDIS and goes, hey, baby, how you doing? You know what else is bigger on the inside? No, he doesn't do that. Lord. But it was an interesting article. It was like a full page, and it was really well thought out, and a lot of valid points, Mm-hmm. And he basically kind of says it's just, for fun. But so it was interesting. I was like, wow, it's gotten popular enough to where people are even doing this now and writing about it that way. So, but this week's episode was Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I love the idea of seeing more TARDIS, just like in Castrovalva, where we saw Peter Davison unwind the scarf through the corridors of the TARDIS to find the Zero Room, which I just watched that one. I just watched that today, actually. That was the one I watched before, the one we were just watching when you came over. When you came home.
I live here now. Oh, speaking of Peter Davison, why this jumped into my head now, too. Did you see they announced, I think, unless I'm making this up, I think they announced the Earthshock is the new next Doctor's Revisited episode. The one for Peter Davison.
Ends in silence when Edric gets killed. That's a good episode, though. It's a good Cyberman episode. Mm-hmm. What would I pick?
And I missed Pyramids of Mars. I thought I DVR'd it, and my DVR did not catch it.
Well, don't you have it already anyway?
I probably do. You know what? It's going to be... You know what I do? I'll watch it tomorrow.
You know what I was thinking? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to have to watch it tomorrow. Because I'm mad at myself for missing it.
Yeah, because we could have talked about that.
Oh, I know.
During Center of the TARDIS, I said you'd see more of the TARDIS than ever before. I don't know if that's true. You saw a whole lot of corridors.
I saw the pool.
Did we? I mean, really, though?
We just saw, yes.
You know, I mean, you see a glimpse, and it's neat how she stops and goes back. I like the library. I think that was awesome. I want to know how he got the telescope from Tooth and Claw. That's what I'd like to know too. We were talking about that earlier. I mean, it looked like that same telescope.
That was my first thought. I was like, wait a second, he doesn't know. And then I went, I guess it's just a giant telescope.
I guess he could have another giant brass telescope, sure.
But that was the first thing
cool,
that went through my mind, too.
It looked really neat. It was a pretty well done episode. One of my favorite parts of it, one of my favorite bands of all time, The Cult. Their song "Firewoman" was used when they were going to get ready to pull them in for the salvage. I love that band and I love that song. Oh, it doesn't get any better than hearing that song. And I honestly could not believe it was in the episode. I thought like my computer started playing something. I'm like, what the? But it was in the episode. So this one, he's trying to bring peace between the TARDIS and Clara. And he puts it on easy controls for her to fly, which we talked about this earlier. I just watched, again, Castrovalva. Tegan learns how to fly the TARDIS by looking at the TARDIS databank, which apparently is a wealth of information that doesn't exist anymore in the TARDIS, because they looked at the index file and learned about regeneration and all kinds of stuff.
They looked it up.
Why can't we have that nowadays? Or at least, how about you know what? Because they're doing this retro thing. How about a card catalog off to the side of the TARDIS console? You know. But so Clara's trying to fly it, and he has to modify the shield settings so she could do it. And when he does that, is when they become ensnared in this magnetic grappling thing, and it becomes, the salvage guys take it. And
I mean, how would they be able to decipher if it's scrap?
They didn't care.
Oh.
I mean, it was kind of obvious that they didn't care. But so he takes it over, or they take it, and somehow the doctor got outside of it. I don't remember what they said, how that happened.
I don't think they really explained.
I thought he mentioned it somehow. And they go in to save Clara, and he gives them a 30-minute time limit. Which we find out later on, after they save Clara, doesn't really exist, but all of a sudden there's an emergency anyway. There's some creatures running around the TARDIS. I was wondering what those were going to be, and it turns out that's them dead, because all of time was seeping in. Didn't that crack look strangely familiar?
Yeah.
Right?
At this point, yes.
Overall, what do you guys think? I mean, that's basically the basic plot. They go to find Clara. They find Clara. Of course, they save everything. And there's a giant reset button, just like in the
reset button,
just like in the Russell T Davies era.
But this is even more. It's a literal button that you push. It's not
even
said,
like press the button, and it burned into her hand. Big magic button or something. It said, yeah.
Big friendly button.
Friendly button.
Big friendly button. Yeah. So, I enjoyed it though. I it was fun. You guys?
It was a fun episode. I'm like, I want to know more about that book.
Well, Clara tells him, "Why do you go by the doctor? You have a name, it's," and he cuts her off. Or she says, "You have a name," and he cuts her off. So
it's John Smith. That's what it is.
They better not reveal it, because there's not much mystery left. They seem to just be like, "Well, people have wondered about this, so here you go. We're going to make it up." No, just leave it alone. What was the name on the junkyard?
Smith.
No, it wasn't
Foreman.
Smith. Foreman. It was.
I am Foreman.
I am Foreman. I would love for, like you said, it would be hilarious if that was his name.
It's been right there.
What was it called? The book was The Tome of the Time War? Was that what it was called?
A History of the Time War?
Something like that?
Yeah.
Who wrote it?
Didn't say.
Isn't that kind of a curiosity? And it was on a pedestal,
It's
in
the
a
doctor's
prominent
hobby.
area. Did the doctor write it, maybe?
He goes off and writes the history of the time. Well,
I mean, or did maybe the TARDIS wrote it.
But if it's got such secret information
why
in
is it right out in the open in the library on a pedestal?
Out and it just opened. She opened and looked at 2 pages. And it just happened to open to the page that apparently said, and the doctor's real name is...
While she was being chased by her dead self. I will say, everyone said that, or it was implied that this was going to have some big revelations about Clara and the TARDIS, and it didn't. It didn't have any revelations about anything to me, really. Other than she does not know that she had died before until he tells her.
And now she doesn't know again.
I think this episode, I think that part and his name and all that and the Time War thing, that's going to come back around. I think she's going to somehow remember. I think that's how we're going to find out that she's special, that somehow maybe she's not a Time Lord, but something about her and time and space work together in a way.
I think it's somewhere in her family.
Yeah. There's something there that is going to link and make her remember it. The brothers of the salvage crew, I mean, the one guy was kind of, you didn't really see him much, the bigger guy, he ends up getting killed.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you find out that they lied to the younger brother because he forgot his memory.
So absurd, because how could he not know?
That he wasn't an android? You'd think at some point
doesn't he
he'd
have
get
to
cut.
eat? Doesn't he, ever get tired? Have to use the bathroom?
Yeah. Not only is it a shitty thing to do, but how did he not, figure it out at some point, you know?
I mean, you would think, at some point he'd be like, wait a second.
I was really hoping
family like that.
I was really hoping the salvage crew was going to be more Red Dwarfian. You know? Not, so serious and, or maybe more Sanford and Sonny or something.
I wasn't that crazy about this episode, because
Really?
I didn't like the brothers. I thought that whole plot was ridiculous, because I didn't even really see why the Doctor needed him.
Because it's the most powerful ship in the universe, and somehow, even with the shields down, it got taken in.
And I thought, there is no way. I'm like, okay, we know the TARDIS has a personality. There is no way that she is going to let Clara just get lost. If the Doctor went in...
And it didn't.
She would bring them together. He doesn't need the salvage crew at all.
Well, no, the TARDIS eventually got her to safety.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but,
And
I think he needed them because they weren't going to let him back in without him being like, oh, I can promise you. I mean, they said they were going to open the airlock and send them out.
It still seemed like he didn't really need... And then he's like, okay, go off. Dude, it's like you knew they were going to, tear the ship apart at first. And he's, surprised that they're trying to take stuff. I'm like... You knew from the start they really weren't nice guys. I mean,
they have good taste in music, though.
I mean, the cyborgy guy who had the special eyes and vocal cord, he seemed to be the best of the bunch, but...
He really was, too.
But it's funny how...
It is weird how he...
Yeah,
well, that's the one that they said convinced him he was an android, and he's not. How could he feel the TARDIS, though? Remember? He, had insight into it, though, so... there was something there, too. Which
would have made sense when he was,
if he was really an android.
But then they...
Yeah, they didn't really need to say that he wasn't. They could have just left that whole line out.
Well, I think they were going for... Because the whole message was the whole secrets. Secrets are dangerous, or secrets are good, or... Which the Doctor thinks they're good. Except when they're kept from him.
Yeah, I think to some point, some things should be kept secret,
But, I just...
In a perfect place, sure, secrets would mean nothing.
But the Doctor has no tolerance for secrets kept from him. That's what I love. He's like, secrets can be good. It's like, except I must know everything.
Yeah, I actually have a different thought. I actually enjoyed the episode. The brothers, I thought, the android one was the best of the bunch. The big guy that was supposed to be, the bigger guy was actually not, he wasn't really a bad guy. It was just the one that was running it, the captain guy, the middle brother, I think he was. And, he was just your typical, I'm here to make money guy. I mean, what are you going to do? But I thought overall it was a fun ride. We saw a lot of the TARDIS, but we saw a lot of it in a haphazard, we're running past it way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was really as revealing as I had hoped, in a sense.
No.
I definitely think it was better than most of the episodes from Series 7A. It was better in A Town Called Mercy. It was better. It was way better than Power of 3.
See, I liked Power of 3 better than this one because I just didn't. I thought it could have
In
been...
this one, the sonic screwdriver was actually used in a useful way.
Yes. I agree. He used it as a scanner.
So he used it as a scanner and followed the sound of the hard rock and awesome band, The Cult, back to the rip in time and space. And it worked fine that way. I mean, it wasn't... to me, in this one, but like I said, it was in it a lot, but it was not overused. And how it was used was... It was also used in ways that made sense. It was used as a flashlight. It was used as a scanner. It wasn't used for, like, he didn't, seal the rip in time with it. Mm-hmm. So I thought for a change, it was, actually it wasn't used it wasn't used much in Cold War either. I don't think it wasn't really abused in that one.
No. Well, he lost it for a while.
Rings of Akaton.
Well,
The magic wand.
we're not going to talk about his fucking.
Even my wife finally caught up with most of them, and she's like, "Yeah, it wasn't great." I'm like, I go, "What did you think of a town called Mercy?" She goes, "It was okay." I'm like, "Talk to Nicole about it." We know how that conversation goes for you.
Oh boy!
But I don't think it was. You know what? For a middle of the season episode, it was perfect. Because compared to the middle of the season episodes last time around, you had A Town Called Mercy. Well, no, what was A Town Called Mercy? The third one, right? Yeah. So it was mid-season. Power of Three, and then it went right to the Angels, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Or is there one I'm forgetting?
Dinosaurs was in the middle.
Well, that was before. Yeah, but it was the second episode. That's not really mid-season.
Well, there were only 5, so
sure.
mid-season would technically be Town Called Mercy.
Yeah,
Right in the middle.
Yeah. But so I thought it was better than that. I mean,
there were
I enjoyed parts of it just because it was a fun, let's rescue somebody. There's not a complex plot line to it. It's not. In fact, there weren't even a lot of plot holes in this one because there was no reason to have them. They didn't have to backtrack on stuff. They didn't have to explain why the Statue of Liberty walks. They didn't have to,
I liked when Clara was exploring the TARDIS. I liked that part. I'm like, I could go for more of this, but it was for a second you just saw, the library. You saw the one little storeroom that had the cradle and
the tour TARDIS
and
that was
McCoy's
neat.
umbrella.
Oh, you saw his crib again.
Yeah.
Or that was River's crib. Supposedly.
Well, it was his. No, but they said it was very old. Remember in that episode when he took it out.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I think at McCoy's umbrella.
I don't think it was. I think it was just an umbrella. It didn't have the question mark though.
But he had an umbrella,
a standard one.
I think Paradise Tower. Maybe
he might have.
He had it was he didn't have the question mark. He had just a generic umbrella. So I thought that was supposed to be a little tiny reference to him, but
yeah, I think it was. I do. I think there were a few other little nods that I kind of caught, and I can't remember offhand though too.
Well, they had the voices.
Yeah, but didn't they really only have Eccleston's? What were the other
No,
ones?
it started out with Susan telling you about TARDIS, relative time, and I think it went Pertwee.
Hey, if you can't travel between dimensions, how's the TARDIS exist? Right? Because he supposedly can't travel to Rose's dimension. But if I recall from the years back episodes, one of them, he says that the TARDIS is a time and relative dimension in space, and it exists simultaneously in all dimensions. I could be wrong about that, but I think I remember hearing that. I could be wrong. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I want to say Tom Baker or something. I picture him explaining it to someone.
It had to be Baker, because Pertwee didn't really have the TARDIS. I mean, well, later on he did.
Yeah, he went to another dimension, though, in Inferno.
Yes, he did.
Alternate universe. By
short-circuiting the TARDIS when he's trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he didn't go to another dimension. Yeah, it was an alternate universe. Well, same thing, I guess, depending on how you look at it. So, you and I have differing opinions on this one, which is a shock, because this is the first episode.
Wow.
Joanna, how about you?
I'm with Nicole on this. I don't actually know. Wait, I liked it.
So you're not with Nicole on this.
I was gonna say
I got on my call. I'm like, I liked it. I mean, it was something. It was fun just seeing the TARDIS.
I agree. That's what I liked. And actually, the little interaction between the TARDIS and Clara this time was better, I guess, in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked the parts. I felt like it would have been better if you just had.
Did you
the
like all the
story.
parts, just not them put together as a whole?
I didn't like the salvage team brothers at all. I wanted them out of the story. I would have liked it better.
I guess you
if
could have
it
just
had
had it. It could have just been some disaster with the TARDIS,
and like them separated, and you could still. I mean, I was happy the way they explained the creepy time zombies or whatever, because I was like, why are there monsters in the TARDIS?
I think that was the secret that he wanted to keep a secret, and I understand why, because you don't want to say, well, that's you in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So.
But I thought was, because I was worried about that. I'm like, how are they going to explain these monsters? I didn't hate the episode.
How did the TARDIS fuel tank have like nuclear fuel rods that were shooting out? Am I the only one that thought that was weird?
No.
And also, okay, the TARDIS had to be recharged on a rift for all these years. All of a sudden now the iRasalon's back and all that, right?
Yeah,
How?
the iHarmony.
The iHarmony's back, rather. How? And how is it in the TARDIS?
Yeah, that was.
Is it another dimension? See, the little things like that where I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's a nod to the past. It explains, and I'll let it slide.
Yeah, I didn't get too caught up in that.
But I mean, afterwards, when I thought about it a little bit, I was kind of like, wait a minute, how did you? Whatever.
Well, I didn't.
I love the map when it shows the map, though. It's like I have Harmony, and like, But
yeah, I just. Yeah, I liked that. I liked her wandering around in the TARDIS. Yeah. I thought, okay,
I love the library. I love the telescope.
The library was probably the coolest part.
Yeah, because they actually showed it. Like, she went in it. Because there was, like, a storeroom she was in. That's where she found, like, all kinds of chemicals. And plus, wasn't the Encyclopedia of Gallifrey neat that it was, like, a liquid that pours out? Or, like, a gaseous, that was cool.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of, like, the
that
library
stuff.
and I felt like...
I thought the amount of time that book was on screen was anticlimactic.
I thought you'd see something, like some little tease from it or something that would give you... But they never let you...
I thought she'd look at him and say, you destroyed your own planet, or something to show that she saw something other than his... Because why is his name in that book?
No idea.
And like I said, who wrote it? That's going to be
I'm...
Because he wouldn't write his own name.
No. Well, River's the only one, isn't it, that's supposed to know his name?
How would she know about the Time War, though?
Yeah.
So she wouldn't have wrote it. What do we got, 2 episodes left?
3, right?
3? Crimson Horror.
Nightmare in Silver.
Nightmare in Silver, and then the name of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah, it's
happening fast.
I just thought there could have been more, like, you could have seen more of the past. You could have seen more in the TARDIS. And then it just was such, to me, a waste of time to deal with those brothers. I was like, I don't care about them. I had no interest in them whatsoever.
But wouldn't it have been kind of boring just watching him wander through the TARDIS looking for her?
Well, you could have had, like, stuff in the TARDIS.
I would have liked to have seen the TARDIS garage.
I wanted to see the TARDIS wardrobe.
Yes. And you see some of the old costumes. The TARDIS wardrobe would have been cool. The TARDIS garage, because he takes the bike, he goes, I'll be right back, I go to the garage. That would have been great. To see, like, all kinds of weird futuristic cars or something, and, like, even some classics.
The Whomobile.
Bessie would have been great to have seen in it.
Yes.
So, I mean, but I definitely liked it more than Nicole.
Yes, you did.
It's
like
it's... Go ahead.
Seeing some of the small nods here and there that we saw, I mean...
And I think ultimately that's what it was written for.
Yeah.
Mm. Same guy that wrote Curse of the Black Spot.
Well, this was considerably better than that, since no one disappeared.
Nope.
That's not his fault, though. That's more of an editor error, don't you think? Mm-hmm. Or not editor, direction error.
No, I just, that was, I could have cared, I really couldn't have cared less about the brothers. I was like, they don't need to be here, and every time they got their story, I was like, I'm not interested.
I found it funny that that ship was so big and it only had 3 crew. I thought the ship design and stuff was cool. I think they did a great job on the effects and,
Yeah.
everything. Especially compared to Rings of Akaton.
Yeah, well, also, I didn't understand at the end, and I was trying to, I'm like, okay, so they don't remember what happened, because this is reset the day.
Sure.
But yet, all of a sudden, that picture that they had of the family that had the android brother ripped out, or folded out, or whatever, is now intact.
Well,
And they were, like, being nicer to, and I'm like, how did this, like, reset their whole previous behavior towards their brother?
I thought about that, and I looked at it as, since it's not a fixed point in time because it was obviously changed, it may have been changed, altered more than just that one incident.
I hope so. Because
Is all I could think of.
Because it was like, it didn't just, like, reset that day for them. That was like, the picture was now intact, and I wasn't sure, were they saying that he knows he's not an android now?
You know what, to be honest, that part of the show disappointed me.
Because he was supposed to be the captain, and he wasn't acting like the captain of the ship there, so it's not like everything was
No, just subtle
perfect.
things. Yeah. Well, he tells the guy, remember this or something, and maybe that's, maybe a Time Lord tells you to remember something and it gets stuck in your head differently. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I could see, like, if there was, like, a change in their behavior from that point, like, the brother starts to question, should we really still pretend he's an android? But I didn't see how the picture got reassembled, because that was gone. He was out of the picture in the beginning.
I kind of like the fact that he was in the picture again.
Well, if you're gonna do it, you might as well go all in on it. If you're gonna hear, I didn't like that they reset it. I didn't like that at all. Though, again, it's another episode that would have been helped if it was a little longer, I think, also in a sense. But this one, I can understand it being a shorter one because it's supposed to feel urgent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I could, it's just, that was my, I wanted some other storyline than those brothers.
Well,
really...
if you get a big reset button or whatever it was called, maybe you can hit it.
Big friendly button.
Thank you. Maybe you can hit it, and we can have a different episode different.
Because I loved the wandering in the TARDIS, and I said some of it, I was happy that they explained the monsters, because I was kind of like, where are they going with this? Why would the Doctor have monsters on his TARDIS? Like...
And who were the guys?
What is this? And then I was like,
well,
okay.
It was Clara and the guys. It was it was the Doctor, Clara, and the guys. Realistically,
because there were 4 at the end. Yeah.
I honestly would have liked to have not seen a reset, because I think Clara knowing one of the reasons he found her, would have been helpful and useful in a sense, because she would have been able to be like, okay, tell me about myself. What, there may have been some other insight that could have been garnered from the whole experience.
She took it really well. For the Doctor wanting to keep it a secret, she's just like,
when you're standing, when you're standing on she took it well after he told her, because prior to that he's going, who are you? What are you? And she was getting freaked out. But once he said it, when you're standing on a cliff in in an exploding time machine, finding out you died in 2 other lives, probably not the worst news you've had.
But it didn't seem like she needed to forget that.
But I want to know what happens. I cannot wait to see when they meet the gang from Madame
Vostra.
Yes,
Strax and Jenny. I agree with you, but now my problem is I've become cynical to where I look at every series the way I look at Star Wars. All right, George Lucas, what are you going to do to mess up this for me now? Because I'm all like hyped up. I start reading a comic or watching something new, and I'm like, oh, this is great now. So I was like, ah. And I'm waiting to find out. I'm just waiting to see what they're going to do to make this not as cool as it should be. What's going to happen in the last episode, the Doctor's name? Why is it called the name of the Doctor? Why is River in it? Why is, who is Clara? It should be called Who is Clara and be about her. I think that would have been where in the world is Clara San Diego? I don't know.
Yeah, Well, you're supposed to find out, right? I think in the finale.
I'm assuming,
I think they said they're
going to
reveal.
And I'm assuming it has. Oh my God! I wonder if it's his granddaughter.
But still, that wouldn't explain being in different times. Because she'd regenerate, but not be the same person.
Would she regenerate? Yeah, she'd have to. I don't know. I mean, they're gonna do something that's gonna be somewhere along some weird lines, and I know they're gonna. I just don't
We
know
did
what.
not see her regenerate. I mean, like, how would we not seen her regenerate?
You didn't see Jenny. Jenny didn't regenerate. The clone daughter of the Doctor.
We saw her bring back
fact,
to life.
You saw her back to life, yeah, but you got to remember something. Asylum of the Daleks. She wasn't written as the character originally. Mm-hmm. It was somebody else that was written, and he changed the storyline to put her in it, and then altered everything from there on forward.
Mm.
So,
we saw her breathe back to life, but
Jenny, yeah, but I mean, Clara, like I said, Clara's character wasn't supposed to be in Asylum the way it was. He changed it.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I
mean, here's the funny thing. How do you know it's not just a relative? I mean, they explained Gwen and Torchwood as being, genetics.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Well, wouldn't that be the same
Martha,
thing?
Martha, too.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be the same thing, though? I mean, we all probably look like one of our ancestors. Why wouldn't it be possible that in, like, the year 2300 or whenever the Alaska crashed into the Dalek planet, how do we know that wasn't a distant relative of the Clara that was in the Christmas episode?
I just want to say it's a relative at this point because
it's not going to be.
I know
that would be very anticlimactic. I'm saying it could be explained that way. That would be the worst series finale ever. It's like 5 minutes long, and they're like, "Wow, it's just your relatives," and it just says "fin" at the end on a black screen. It's just Finney or Finney. It's just done.
Yeah.
Silence.
I know I said this before, but yeah, I don't even have a.
Moffat's is doing an excellent job at surprising us on this one.
Yeah, unlike the Impossible Astronaut, who pretty much everyone thought it must be River. It's River, right? It's River.
I haven't told Joanna before because we didn't watch that whole season. Joanna didn't see. We neither of us saw the last. Oh, I saw part of it. I think I was watching it at work and got interrupted. But Joanna never saw it. I'm like, well, who do you think was in the astronaut suit that killed him? And she goes, River. I'm like, okay, well, there you go. You know how it ended. Why couldn't you have made it Rory or something? Or Amy? Just some... it would have been so much easier. It's like watching the... Huh?
I think Amy would have been good. It would have been like...
Did you say Amy would have been dead or good? Yeah, it would have been a surprise. It would have been a twist.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, M. Night Shyamalan movies. They're all supposed to have a twist, but like a blind deaf person watching the movie could figure out the twist half the time. The freaking minute he says, "What are you in jail for?" and she says, "I murdered a very good man." The minute that line was spoken, I'm like, you ruined the series for me. I know exactly what's going to happen. Because why wouldn't she say who she killed? Mm-hmm. Well, I killed the president of whatever planet. I killed so-and-so. No. But this year is different. This year, even this episode didn't shine any light on Clara at all.
No.
See, and the only reason I'm thinking it's got to be some Time Lord or past companion that regens something is because there's such a strange interaction between her and the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
The TARDIS obviously knows something. Like we said, it sees all of time and space at one time. But there's something there that he's going to play on, and he's got me on this one. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Which is great.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
Yeah,
I don't.
I like that, and same with you. As much as I bitch about the 7th anniversary special, I feel the same way. I don't know what's going to happen,
mm-hmm.
and I'm impressed by that fact. I just know there's 2 doctors and Rose and Clara, and I'm hoping maybe it's going to be like the comic where Ace and Rose get into it all the time. Maybe Clara's like, "You traveled with that," but. Although I think Amy and Rose would have been a great dynamic because I could see them hating each other.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Amy is such. I liked Rose, but Amy would probably take her down.
Yeah. Oh, no, I would agree with that. I like Series 1 Rose, and I like Series 5 and 6 Amy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for Series 7 Amy. And I didn't care for Series, say, 2.5, like halfway through, Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I do look forward to the 50th anniversary. There, I said it the right way. I joke when I say 7th, just because I want to see what he's going to do. I think Moffat, personally, I think is a better writer than RTD.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious as to what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed to learn that there won't be more classic Doctors. Although
we don't know,
they didn't. They also didn't say anything about companions.
They say it, but then you have Paul McGann making comments like, "Well, it could be a last minute thing." You don't know. You know what? I'm going to put Joanna on the spot here.
Oh.
Because Joanna, when we say, "What did you think of the episode?" traditionally just goes, "I liked it," and then maybe says one or two other things. So, why did you like this episode? Defend this episode to Nicole.
Because we saw things about the TARDIS, and we saw nods to the some of the classics, and plus oh god, I can't seem to defend it very well right now. It was.
Come on, come on. Tell us what you think.
The thing is, we saw reasons that are anticipating to what the TARDIS knows about Clara, because she was learning to fly it, and I think we're going to find out who Clara is. But
it's Tegan.
As you said, the TARDIS knows all.
Yeah, kind of.
As soon as we find out who Clara is, we're going to. We'll know. I mean, obviously, but we'll know why the TARDIS knew. And plus, I don't know. Also, the one thing I did not like about storyline, I did not like about it. I'm with Nicole on knowing the brothers, salvage crew.
I agree. Initially I thought it was going to be fine, but yeah, I agree with you guys.
I mean, like in hindsight, I was anticipating for something good, but they disappointed me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all have siblings that we like jokingly say, "Yeah, you're adopted," but letting a joke like that go a long way. Telling like the brother that he's an android for that long.
Yeah, let's see. You just had your eyes fried out, your throat fried out, you lost your memory. Hey, I got an idea. Let's pull a prank on this guy.
Well, they also explained it as a little bit of like sibling rivalry there because he was supposed to take over.
But the guy almost died.
Yeah. Well, no, it didn't make sense. But they also explained it like, he was supposed to be the captain, so they wanted to keep him down so he wouldn't take over, which he really should have been in charge, obviously, because he was the father was right. He was the most reasonable of the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, even after his accident, he was the most reasonable. He was the smartest one too.
Oh yeah, the one was a complete ogre.
He also was probably the most human out of the brothers.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Because something about those other two, they seemed very petty.
Yeah.
And jealous. I mean, admit it. We all are jealous of our siblings at one point. But to the point of pranking a brother or sibling for that long.
Well, what would have happened if he really thought he was an android and then went and did something, What if he was like, well, I don't need a spacesuit, I'm going out in the airlock? Mm-hmm. What would they have done then?
Yeah.
You would think there'd still be some level of guilt there. I mean, because he obviously cared about the guy. Just,
But those two brothers were just so petty and selfish.
But other than them...
I mean, it would have been... I would have loved to have seen an episode done differently like this, in a different.
Okay, well
with a different.
then watch Peter Davison's Fifth Doctor episode, Castor Valva, because they journey throughout the TARDIS for part of it.
Excellent.
I mean, they do.
And Invasion of Time.
Yeah,
with
they
Baker.
do too. Yeah.
Email me the name of the titles, and I'll just look it up on my
Your collection.
source,
For sure.
my black box.
For sure.
So, because I'm kind of curious about how the TARDIS was back then.
It in no way looked like a soundstage.
I could imagine.
Invasion of Time, it's an old hospital, isn't it? They were
Where they filmed it? Maybe. Yeah,
I
could have
think
been.
They filmed it in an old
I
hospital.
haven't seen that episode in a long time. I guess that's our opinions on it. I mean, two of us liked it. We all agree on the fact that the brother's story was kind of crappy.
Yes.
It just bothered me more than I couldn't.
No, I
get
can tell. I
into
can
the-
see in your mannerisms because I actually physically am
Yeah.
next to you.
You're the only person who can see my. I didn't like that
The look of
storyline.
disgust on her face when she thinks about it.
Because I love the wandering and the TARDIS. I seriously would have been happy to like spend more time just in the library. And I said I really want to see the wardrobe.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But I know they have. I mean, that's just to me. I'm like that more than the swimming pool.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen it though. It would have been neat. I guess that's our take on it. I mean, I definitely can't. What's next week?
Crimson Horror.
Crimson Tide.
Crimson Horror. It's not Crimson Tide, is it?
Crimson Horror.
Isn't Crimson Tide the name of like the nickname for like some college
Crimson
football
Tide.
team?
Crimson Tide.
And it was a
is,
movie with Denzel Washington.
Yeah. On
But
the submarine.
nuclear submarines.
Whoops, sorry.
No, you said Crimson Tide. I'm like, yeah. Wait, no, what? I'm waiting for the Cybermen one written by Gaiman. I want to see which Cybermen they are and stuff. I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be like the normal Cybermen,
Define normal.
not alternate dimensions.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I think too. I would agree.
I have high hopes for this one.
Yeah, I do too. Gaiman's an excellent writer. I mean,
Oh, have you read any of his books?
yeah, I was. I haven't finished it yet. I was reading American Gods. It's great. Anyways, I think that's it. I mean, I do agree about the brothers, but it had the song "Firewoman" by the Cult, so it's still a winner. Numerous times, I did like how he tracked the music back to the Terran rift, the Terran time, or the rift in time and space. I think that was good. I do like that the sonic screwdriver was used in a way that made sense. But so I do appreciate. There was a lot of it I appreciated. I do agree about the brothers. I mean, that could have been better or handled differently, or maybe like the TARDIS could have crashed onto the salvage ship or something. Because she was flying it, some weird occurrence, So
Yeah, that was just.
yeah, I hear you.
And I said there were parts I liked. I didn't think it was like horrible. And I got the point. They wanted more to carry through the whole secret theme and talk about that. I get that. I
almost was
I didn't
disappointed
like
with
them.
how they explained the zombie thing or the monsters. Like, I get it and I could accept it, but it's like, oh, I was hoping it was like something to do with the Time War hidden in the TARDIS, or.
Although I didn't completely get why they wanted to attack their other living selves.
Well,
but
actually, he says that we need to do something differently so time doesn't repeat or something the way it was. 'Cause it was
Time
like, right?
I
Like
didn't want
basically,
time to reassert itself, he says at one point.
okay,
whatever that
so
means.
they need to do stuff differently. Those creatures attacking them would have been different.
But that was the one thing that I didn't like about that explanation. Although I know probably when you're burnt to a crisp, your brain isn't functioning anymore. So they weren't thinking rationally, but I didn't quite get why they were chasing themselves. I was like, you'd think they'd not want to do that, but I could accept that. I mean, okay, their brains are fried. They're no longer who they were, whatever. But I did wonder.
Yeah.
I think they were they could have been warning them.
Well, that's a good way to look at it too.
I mean, like, think about it this way. They're trying to maybe, I don't know.
You know what? I got a Facebook post from a friend of mine. Well, I never actually met her, but she's a friend of a friend's named Christina, and she said, I haven't watched Doctor Who yet. What season should I start on? I'm asking you since this seems to be your favorite. My friend Brian told her, I told you already the Ninth Doctor, season 1 of the new series. I don't know if that's where to start a new person.
No.
Blink is always a good one to start somebody on, but Blink is not really Doctor heavy.
Yeah.
But it's a good episode. Tooth and Claw is also a good one, though, for that.
What started me was the whole the Utopia, Sound of the Drums, and the Last Time Lords.
Oof, it's a tough one, though.
Because
there's so much going on in there, and there's so many characters like Jack and that you don't know why they're there.
I started with Rose.
If you're going to start, so did I. Well, then I started with Inferno or Davison, or I don't even remember anymore. If you're going to start with the Ninth Doctor, I would almost skip ahead to the
Dr. Dances.
Yes.
The Mummy one.
Yeah, that's an excellent one.
That is one of my favorite Ninth Doctor episodes.
Because Rose isn't bad. Or the second one, the end of the world. End of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The End of the World.
That's a good one. I like that one a lot. I like that one better than Rose, because Rose has a tie into the original series, and then I think they did that on purpose to get that the.
My mom's first one was Smith and Jones.
Not a bad one.
Yeah.
Not a bad
That's
one.
a good one.
Because the thing is, I could see a newcomer not liking Eccleston's Doctor. That's the thing. I could see that being an issue. I think, though, what you need to... I'm going to recommend you listen to the podcast because we're talking about it. I think what I would recommend, though, is more than one episode. So you got to give it a chance. Here's our top, what we think are our top
You could
ones.
start with the 11th Hour.
11th Hour? Which one's that?
Matt Smith's first.
Yeah, the thing is, all three Doctors are so different. That's a good one, but is that really starting material?
I say we take each one from.
Well, there's
each
Dalek.
different Doctor.
I mean, there's Dalek from the Ninth Doctor, and that's a great episode.
I have an idea. Why does she watch like 2 episodes from each Doctor?
Well, I'm going to recommend that to her, and I'm going to also tell her listen to the podcast, and we'll tell you. I'm going to say, for me, my 2 episodes from the Ninth Doctor would be the Doctor Dances, and I'm going to call that in its second part 1 episode. And what was the one with Satellite Life? The one with Satellite
Long
5 was
Game.
good. No, not the finale.
The Long Game was the first one with Satellite 5.
With the guy from Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Was it called The Long Game?
Yeah.
That wasn't bad. Dalek was good, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. Because End of the World was good, Dalek was good, and Long Game was good in its own way. It was good because it was futuristic, and, I'm going to stop there on my Ninth Doctor. I don't know. I'd have to think of a second one. How about you, Joanna?
I would definitely do Dalek and the Doctor Dances for the Ninth Doctor. For
Well, hang on. We're only on the 9th. Don't get carried away yet. She's like, I know she's ready to jump into the TENant era because that's her Doctor.
yes.
How about you, Nick?
Get to this TENant episode?
We're getting there. Hang on.
I don't know.
Hang on. Stop squeeing. Nicole, how about you? For your Ninth Doctor choices, 2 of them.
It's tough. I mean, as a good one to start, I like the Doctor Dances and the Empty Child.
Yeah.
The first part. That would be.
Oh, it is the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. So yeah,
I was like,
the
what's
Empty Child and the Doctor Dances are
Yeah.
two. It's a 2-part episode deal.
I mean, that's you probably don't need. I might go with like. Dalek's good, or I like the Unquiet Dead.
Ooh, that's not bad either.
To show like
the
although that's
Victorian.
2 past ones, so
Yeah.
you might want future ones. So I might go with Dalek if I had to pick a future one.
Dalek's more nowadays.
Yeah,
Dalek's like current time.
it's just a little bit ahead. It was like 2012 or something at the time.
I think if I was going to say future, I'd say End of the World.
Yeah,
Just because it was there was there was meaning. There was something there. It made you think, like, wow, at some point in time, it is going to be the end. You know. Okay, now, Joanna, your 2 top TENant episodes.
Oh gosh. The first one where he met like when he first went with his first adventure, not Runaway Bride, but the Adipo one.
Oh, the Adipose one?
Yeah.
Partners in Crime.
Partners in Crime.
Yes.
That's a fun one.
Yes. Definitely because it's a fun one. Blink, because it's scary and it's good. And
Blink shows Doctor Who at its scariest almost.
Yes.
I agree. Like, my friend Arturo never watched Doctor Who, and we watched Blink, and he really enjoyed it. Then we watched the two other Angel ones with him and River.
Mm-hmm. Time of
Angels.
Flesh and Stone.
Yeah, Flesh and Stone and Time of Angels. And yeah, he was hooked on the show, and he watched every episode ever since then. Or he went back and watched them all. So wait, how many? So that you're going to go with Blink and which one?
And Partners in Crime.
Ooh, let's see. I would go with Blink. And End of Time. No.
Well, you know that would be my choice.
Yeah. Shit, there's so many good ones.
It's a Tooth and Claw.
I'm thinking Tooth and Claw, but New Earth was fun.
School Reunion is good.
School Reunion was good too. You know what the problem is, though? You could pick 2 easily from the Ninth Doctor because there was 1 series. We're going to have to, maybe bring TENant up to 3. Because he had 3 full series, right? No, I mean, seriously, he had 3 full series.
And then the specials.
We don't count those.
No.
I would say Tooth and Claw, Blink, and School Reunion. Because School Reunion, I'm not going to do one from each series necessarily, but the bad guy in that was excellent. The way they played off each other, the acting was good, the story was good, it was enjoyable. But I mean, there were some other ones that were good too. I love the Satan Pit one. I love the ones when they're in space and it's like horror.
Ooh.
See, but Blink would be like the gateway drug to Doctor Who. So I'm going to say Blink, Tooth and Claw, because quite honestly, that werewolf, even by today's standards, looks really good for a TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, there were scenes with my favorite scene is when he's got his head against the door listening for it, and they show the split screen of the 2 of them. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go those 2, and do I want to go with School Reunion? Do I want to go Canines? Yeah, that one's so targeted towards the classic audience, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the problem, because it's not like you're going to know who Sarah Jane Smith is right away if you've never seen her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
what were some of the ones?
I didn't know who Sarah Jane was. Actually, I didn't, because when I was watching it.
Well, I mean, they explain it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
What were some of the episodes from his series before the specials?
Well, that was Donna. So, Silence in the Library.
Ooh, you know what? I'm going with Silence in the Library.
Ooh.
Blink, Tooth and Claw, and Silence in the Library, and its follow-up. Because that was a 2-parter,
Yeah,
too.
Forest of the Dead.
Forest of the Dead. I think that was a great episode to this day. Yeah, those are my 3. Nicole?
So are we just, at this point, picking favorites?
What do you think? I picked mine not only as favorites, because they're not all my favorites necessarily, but ones that I could see as a newcomer being able to get into the show with.
That's what I thought.
And I think those 3 that I've picked for TENant would do that. Because Blink's not it's a Dr. Light episode. Mm-hmm. And Tooth and Claw, come on, it's got a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead is just, it's creepy, it's scary, it's good, it introduces River.
Mm-hmm.
It's just good. Donna's good in it, I mean, Time of Angels, though, when they take over the bodies of the other character of the when he's talking to him on the radio,
Angel Bob.
Angel Bob, that's pretty good too. It's tough, but my 3 are set. So, which would you suggest?
Well, obviously Blink.
Yeah, Blink is I
think you could. That could be. It's a bit of an odd choice, but I really love Midnight.
Midnight.
The
Ooh.
one where they're on it's the Donna Light, the companion light episode where she's like at the spa and he's taking the tram.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Ooh.
That is a good one.
Ooh.
I think I'd go with
Right.
Midnight, and you don't really have to know much to
No, that's
watch
true.
that one.
Because it shows how human nature is and stuff.
And
I hate saying it. Turn Left's a good episode too, but it's Dr. Light.
I might go with The Girl in the Fireplace.
That's a good one.
'Cause
That's a fun one.
And it's scary.
And it has
those-
past, present, and future in it.
It mixes, yeah.
Yeah.
You're way in the future, yet you're going into the past.
Yeah. And it shows a different side of the Doctor, And Mickey's in that one, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's a good one. Now, on to Matt Smith. My favorite Matt Smith. Or not my favorite, but what would I recommend from the Matt Smith era? Cold War, for sure. Asylum, I think I think Cold War and Asylum, I think are episodes that even if you know nothing about the show, you could probably enjoy. Because a lot of the other Dalek ones are kind of campy, like what was the Dalek one before Asylum?
Victory of the Daleks.
Yeah, that was with the P-50 or the World War II planes flying
Would you
in space.
care for some tea?
Yeah, and then the one before that, his first series one was that was it.
Yeah, he didn't have Daleks in his first.
Yeah.
They were there at the Pandorica Opens, but they didn't really. And they were
that
in.
was a
and
fun
there was the
episode,
Stone
too.
Dalek.
Yeah.
In Big Bang.
Big Bang and Pandorica Opens. Those were fun episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Those were interesting. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely go with Asylum. I'm definitely gonna go with Cold War, and I gotta get one more. I mean, the Lodger was good.
I love Craig.
Craig was great, but some of the Silence episodes were good.
Yeah, I just don't know if those are as easy to
They're not because
come
it's
into
such a
because
long
you've got
story
River
arc.
and you've got.
What were some of the ones from the first series?
I would go with the 11th Hour because I love that one.
The 11th
But-
Hour. That's the first one.
Yeah.
What was
Yes.
the second one that year?
Beast Below.
That was a good one.
What was the one? What was that one?
The Star Whale and carrying spaceship UK.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's an interesting one, and that could be followed without knowing the show. Third, what was
Victory.
And fourth was a follow. No, fourth wasn't the follow up. That was a one.
The fourth and fifth were the Angels. Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone.
I thought Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone were a TENant episode.
Mm-mm.
And this is that's
Nope.
the one where they're in the cave.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Amy's in it. Yeah. I hate to pick another Angel episode though, but they're a good bad guy.
Oh, they are.
And what
actually,
came
I
after
think
that one?
Angels are better than the Daleks.
Vampires of Venice.
Hush you, that's blasphemous. I didn't like. I'm kidding, Joanna. Don't worry. I didn't like Vampires of Venice. And after that, we had.
Amy's Choice.
Didn't like that one so much.
Oh, God. Which
Uh,
one was like the Van Gogh?
Ooh,
Vincent and the Doctor.
Vincent
Yeah.
and the Doctor was good.
That's my favorite one of the Mass Mirror era.
Let's see. Do I want to go with that, or do I want to go with what was my original choice?
Cold War, Asylum.
No, I got those two. No, those two are set in stone.
Yeah, I was Stone.
Set in stone, just like the Angels.
Yeah. I was trying to go
Oh,
through your
man.
list in my head. I was like, yeah, you said.
Vincent and the Doctor was good.
What did you?
I'll go with Vincent and the Doctor because you don't need to know about the show to
Yeah.
really watch it, and it's fun.
Although you
It
do
was-
need to know a little bit because she's.
Well, you
They
don't
talk
need
about
time
how
travel.
sad she is because Rory's just disappeared.
Yeah. I'm not going to go with Vincent and the Doctor. How about what was my The Beast Below was the one with Spaceship London, right?
Yeah.
Spaceship England?
Spaceship UK. Yeah.
I'll go with Beast Below. Because it had those creepy things in it and stuff. That was a good episode. Beast Below. So my three would be Beast Below and Cold War and Asylum of the Daleks. That's the only Dalek episode I picked.
For me, I would have to go with definitely Asylum of the Daleks.
That's a good one.
That's my favorite one. I mean, hands down.
No, do you think it's your favorite, but is it a good way to introduce someone to the show? I mean, in your opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I agree. Because it's got so many neat little things in it. It's got nanobots, it's got people turning into Daleks, it's got Jenna Louise Coleman, who is just great in it.
Mm-hmm.
I would do the two Angel episodes lump them as one.
Well, yeah, if it's a two-parter, let's just call it an episode. I mean, yeah, I
You can't really say, I want you to watch one half of a two-parter. Don't bother with the other half.
I know.
You know what I kind of almost lean towards? I almost lean towards A Good Man Goes to War.
But you have to know so much.
I know, that's the problem. But he's so good in it. The speech he gives, he's so good in it. And they actually had a twist that was surprising. The Flesh one was good, too, though.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, Joanna. Now that I completely cut you off again.
And then I would do Vincent and the Doctor, the Van Gogh episode, because it leads you into why Amy's so sad. And
but it's almost such a depressing episode.
Episodes in a row. It's one of the best 3 episodes to watch in a row.
And the guy that plays Van Gogh does a brilliant job.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's.
I mean, he acts. He does the acting very well.
Oh, yes. Oh, he was. It was a beautifully done episode.
You know, to be honest, this Snowman episode wasn't bad either.
I was thinking those.
I mean, overall, that's not a bad episode.
I was going
or the one
through
with the woman singing. What was
Christmas Carol?
No. Yes.
Catherine Jenkins.
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
what? Yeah. Even that's not a bad episode.
Mm-hmm.
How about your 3 favorite, Nicole? Or not 3 favorite, but
because
you locked yours in, right, Joanna?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think Nicole also locked hers in.
Did you do yours already?
Well, I locked in the 11th hour. I locked that in about 5 times because
So
I love that
you need
story.
2 more.
Yeah. What else? I mean, I love Vincent and the Doctor, but I don't know if I'd pick that to.
It does say something about the 9th Doctor era that we were able to choose like 2 or 3 stories from that series and be like, these are good. I'm actually impressed that we did that.
But I think some of his too are easier to like.
Even the series
pick
finale
out.
that year was good, though. The 2 of them. That was probably the best series finale they've had.
I'd go with Big Bang.
That was an excellent season finale
I love
too.
that one.
Yeah.
The 5th season is my favorite. There wasn't really an episode I didn't like.
The 5th season was out of the Matt Smith ones. The 5th series was my favorite. This one's shaping up to be right behind it. The 6th, I could take or leave some of them. There's too many of them. I just can. Well, we know you would put in A Town Called Mercy, Curse of the Black Spot, and The Power of 3.
And for TENant, I would have put in The End of Time because we know I love that one. How could I have forgotten it?
We're staying away from the specials, though. That's why.
Yeah. No, I'd go 11th hour. I'd go. Because a lot of the ones that I really like, I'm not sure. Because I loved The Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon. Because I thought the silence were great. It was scary.
I think that could work, though, to get somebody involved. No one picked Let's Kill Hitler.
And I might go with The Lodger.
The Lodger's
just
a good
because that's
episode.
fun.
Yeah.
And
it shows Matt Smith and the Doctor at their goofiest.
Yeah. He's just...
And he's brilliant at it. You know, to be honest, I hate saying it, Clara's first episode wasn't bad either. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care much for the Spoonhead episode, but if you were introducing someone to the show, that one could work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Joanna loved that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my wife, Joanna. And watching it the second time with her, I liked it more than I did the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's your choice, so, I mean... you got 2, 11th hour, and you said The Lodger?
And maybe I guess I could go with Impossible Astronaut. Because I
Why
love
not?
that one.
It's a good ride.
Although I say I love Vincent and the Doctor, I just don't know if
Impossible
I would
Astronaut,
say that
I mean,
was-
it ends on a cliffhanger.
Well, it's the
second
two-parter.
part. Well, the second part kind of does, though,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
going to make you want to watch to see what happens. So that'll work. So there you go, Christina. There's your. I guess we picked a lot of the same ones early on, especially. So there's probably a good 3, 6, 8 episodes, 9 episodes that we think would really work for you. Definitely, if you're going to start with the Ninth Doctor, definitely the Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. Did I say the names of those right at the time?
Yes.
And I really did like what was the second episode called? End of the World?
Yeah. The End of the World.
That one I really liked, and I don't remember what I picked for the third one. Anybody?
I think we just
we
did
only
two.
did 2 because it was a short it was only one season. Yeah. So, and if you're going to start with TENant, I think we all agreed on Blink.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure. Blink is excellent. Martha's in that.
Mm-hmm.
Martha, the Forgotten Companion. And I think it's a brilliant episode. And she's good in it, too.
Which I said was my
And Sally
mom's.
Sparrow's great in it. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole episode works.
That was my mom's first companion, Martha.
And I'm a big fan of the Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. I think that was a great episode, too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what my third one was.
Tooth and Claw.
Yes. So, So there's some suggestions for you. I don't think there's really... I think if you're going to narrow it down to just one, then watch Blink.
I agreed.
I personally think you should watch one or two from each Doctor, though. Because they progress, too. I mean, they get better as the series goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So... But that's it for us. We went way over time. We'll have to cut some stuff out, I guess. We'll figure something out. So that was episode 10. Thanks for joining us of Two Girls, a Guy, and a TARDIS. And I'm John.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Joanna.
And we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for listening.